Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today's video is all about growing dandelions for food. Grow them in your garden. Now the dandelion here was planted last year as a transplant. Dandelions are perennials, so they get these really long tap roots and they will come back year after year. So as of April 8th, which is today, just look how beautiful this plant is. You can eat the leaves. They're slightly bitter. I've been eating them in my salads. You can eat the flowers. You can eat the root. You really just don't want to eat the stem of the flower. Now, the leaves are best tasting before the flower head comes. They're just like lettuce. When the flower head comes and you pick them, let's see if it'll show. You can see that white substance. That's latex. It's bitter. If you're allergic to latex, I suppose you shouldn't eat dandelions. But when the flowers come, just like lettuce, they get a little bit bitter. However, I do like that taste. I'm going to be making vinegar, dandelion vinegar, out of the flower head, so I'm going to be harvesting this plant. I wanted to show you this first before we start talking about how to grow that, how to cultivate it, because what do you notice? It's April 8th. I'm in Maryland Zone 7. That's horseradish over there. That's spinach over there. It overwintered also, so spinach grows well. It's really one of the first crops you can eat. While I'm waiting for my lettuce to mature and get to size, I could be eating dandelions. You want to plant these, you can collect the seeds. When these turn into that big puffball, you can plant the seeds. You just want to put them on the surface, let them establish. The seeds are going to germinate anywhere from 7 to 21 days when the soil temperature and temperatures get to be around 50 degrees. So this plant, again, wasn't grown from seed this year. It was transplanted last year and just left there, and it's going to come back year after year. If you're just growing for greens, before the flower heads would come, you can plant these 3 to 6 inches apart, harvest the greens, and it's a perfect crop for early greens. So if you're growing food to survive more out of your garden, or you want to use the produce out of your garden early, dandelions really produce quickly, along with spinach here in Maryland Zone 7. You can start setting them up in your garden. If you want to start by seed, you can do that, or you can dig up a dandelion, place it where you want it to grow, let it establish, and it will take off over time, over the season. It will grow again throughout the summer, again in the fall, then it goes dormant and it comes back really strong like this one in the spring. And then finally, if you want to harvest the seeds, you can harvest the seeds and you can start them, I would start them in like 2.5 inch, 3 inch containers, because they do put down a long taproot. And then you can just start your dandelions indoors. A lot of people start them 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost, although these handle the frost just fine. And then they plant up their garden, they let it establish, and then just like asparagus, it comes back year after year. Your dandelions are going to come back year after year. If you want to grow the leaves bigger, don't mind the bitter taste, want to collect the flowers, then you space them about every 6 to 9 inches apart down the row. Spacing between rows, 8 to 12 inches, depending on what you want to do. They grow like weeds, seriously. Now, taken care of in a garden space, loose soil, fed like the rest of my plants, gave it a little bit of a water-soluble fertilizer when it started growing. When left in ground and neglected, dandelions look like that. They fight to survive. Nothing spectacular there, but taking care of them, you're going to have these beautiful greens. The other thing about dandelions is they're really disease and pest free. Nothing bothers them. I mean, this is a ton of greens, ton of flowers. You can infuse vinegars, like I said, oil. You can make teas with the flowers. You can eat the flowers. Leaves are delicious, sauteed in oil with garlic, side dish mixed with rice into scrambled eggs. They're really, really versatile, full of calcium, I think potassium, other vitamins, etc., iron, just a great leafy green. Dandelions will also attract bees to your garden if you leave, let the flowers grow. You just want to make sure you don't let these turn into the seed heads, the big, cotton puff balls, so that when the wind comes, they're not scattered all over your garden. Once established, I want to stress one more time, because they're a perennial plant, they're going to come back year after year. You can also grow these to harvest the root. You can kind of eat them like parsnips or turnips or something like that. People dry them, grind them up, make teas out of them, use them as a coffee substitute. I haven't really done that yet, so I don't want to speak too much about it. But if you want to grow a long, healthy root, a raised bed like this, loose soil, space your dandelions out 9 to 12 inches, you're going to grow a nice root. You also want to harvest the root before it grows all the greenery, all the leaves. I mean, it's basically charging itself up through the fall and winter, and now it's producing to turn to seed and reproduce. So you want to get that root early. But just look how beautiful this plant is. Totally edible, minus the stems of the flowers. And it's one of the plants that are really available to eat now. So if I, put in here along the lettuce dandelions all the way down every 6 inches apart, I would be able to eat greens starting about really 10 days ago when I started kind of picking the leaves and watching the plant grow. So I may do that. So I would have dandelions, my lettuce, spinach somewhere, but I'm going to be able to start eating greens a good 2 weeks early in mass quantity because I'm simply growing dandelions, the weed that everybody hates, that wants to kill, wants to get rid of them. Now, if you're taking weeds, I'm sorry, they're not weeds, but if you're taking dandelions out of your garden, fine, it's safe, you know what's in there. If you're taking dandelions out of your lawn, fine, it's safe because you know what you put in there. But if you're taking dandelions out of a neighbor's lawn, they're usually treated as weeds, they're usually sprayed with chemicals, so you don't really want to go foraging for dandelions because they are really stubborn plants that can grow through poisons and all that kind of stuff, and you just don't know what's sprayed on them. So either grow them in your garden like this, take them out of your lawn if you want to. When I go to make the vinegar, and if you want to subscribe and follow, I will show you how to make dandelion vinegar and use the plant. I'm going to be taking the flower heads from all over my lawn. My lawn is sprayed with nothing. It hasn't been sprayed with anything for at least 5 years. I mean, absolutely beautiful, completely edible. Dandelions make a wonderful food crop for your garden. We've been brainwashed to just consider them weeds and problematic. Again, look how beautiful it does, given space to grow in loose, basic soil. Only got fed the water-soluble fertilizer. Once your dandelions are established, because they're perennial, they're going to grow a good 3, 5, 7 years, come back and produce leafy greens for you. They love the sun for, developing lots of flowers, big taproot, but you can also grow them in partial shade if you want more leafy greens or you want more leaves. So they can handle a garden maybe where you don't have as much sun as you wish that you had. They also pull nutrients up from deep in the ground. They put in that long taproot, so they do really well in areas that may have drought issues. They are really built to grow, and the leaves are delicious. Again, the leaves taste better early on before the flowers set in. The whole plant, root, leaves, flowers, are edible. Thanks so much for watching. I've written a new book. I've co-authored it. It's called Growing an Edible Landscape: How to Transform Your Outdoor Space into a Food Garden. And one of the plants we talk about is the dandelion, and the book gives you a lot of ideas of plants that you may have considered weeds, kind of off the garden path instead of everything you see here. There are other things that you can grow and eat throughout your entire landscape. And that book will be out in November, so it's available on pre-order on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com and give dandelions a try. Give them 6, 9 inches of space, and they're going to take off in your garden.